Hi, Chef Robert from the Willow Room. Today we're going to make Wisconsin beer, bacon, and cheese soup. It's a really simple, easy recipe, and it's good on a cold day. What we're going to do first is dice some bacon. I've got 4 ounces of bacon here. I folded this over. I stacked all the strips of bacon, folded it over. And we're just going to finely dice it like this. It's much easier to do this if this is frozen. If you want to stick the bacon in the freezer for a half an hour or so, it'll set up and it'll be easier for you to dice. Okay, so we're going to take this bacon, put it in our pot. We're going to put it on a medium heat and start rendering the fat out of it and crisp up the bacon. Our next thing to do is, I have a Spanish onion. What I've done is peeled it and cut it in half. I've left the root end on, and we want to fine dice this. Okay, to dice this onion, like I said, I've left the root end on. We're going to make a series of horizontal cuts in the onion. I'm going to try to keep them close together. The size of the dice will depend on how far apart these cuts are. If you want a fine dice, you'd want to keep the cuts very close together. If you want a larger dice, that'd be farther apart. Now I'm going to cut vertically through these. Now I'm just going to cut straight down. And I'm looking for 4 ounces of this, which I think that should be it. I have a 4 ounce souffle cup here. You can just measure 4 ounces in by volume in a measuring cup. That'll work fine for you. So, looks like I was just about right on there, 4 ounces. You can see they're real nice small dice. So once our bacon's crisp, we're going to remove the bacon from the grease, saving the grease, and then we're going to sweat the onion in the bacon grease. The bacon, I've rendered the fat out of it and removed it. We're going to set this off to the side. What I have here is the bacon grease, and to that we're going to add the onion we've already diced. And we're going to sweat this for about 2 minutes or so, just to release all the flavor in this onion. Our next step is going to be to put the beer in here. What I have here today is Yingling beer. This recipe works best if you use a full-bodied beer, something that's a little more heartier, like Sam Adams or Yingling. Something that's a little darker color. Okay, beer. Just going to let that simmer for a while. What I'm going to do now is I've got half a teaspoon of thyme. This is dried thyme. You can use fresh. If you're using fresh, I'd suggest putting it in near the end of this whole process. After you put in your chicken stock and cream, let that reduce for a little bit, then add that thyme. So I'm going to let this simmer for a little while. Let the alcohol cook out of the beer. Okay, our beer's been simmering for a couple minutes now. We have our chicken stock. We're going to pour that into the pan. Let this come up to a boil. And we're going to reduce it to a simmer and let it reduce by about a third. And then we're going to add our heavy cream. Okay, our chicken stock's simmering. We're reducing it by a third. While that's happening, we're going to make the roux, which is going to thicken this. Roux is basically an oil and starch flour is what we're going to use. If for some reason you have some kind of gluten allergy, you can also thicken this with a slurry, which is cornstarch and cold water, and it'll do the same job. I like a roux. It gives a little shine to the soup and adds a little flavor to it. But what I've done, I've taken our butter, 3 ounces of butter, and melted it in the pan. We have flour. I'm going to incorporate flour into the butter. I'm going to whip this in. Put that over just a little bit. You just want to basically, once the flour is incorporated into the butter, just heat that for a minute. Okay, I want to show you this roux. This is, I like to leave it a little loose like this. If you can tighten it. If you think it needs more flour, you can absolutely add a little more flour to it. But what happens, you don't want to add too much flour because it'll start getting lumps in it, and when you incorporate it into your soup will be lumpy. So this consistency here will work well for our application here today. Our beer and chicken stock is reduced. We're going to add our cream to this. We're going to bring that to a simmer. Let that simmer for about 10 minutes. Then we're going to incorporate the American cheese and thicken it. And we're almost home. Okay, we have our beer, chicken stock, heavy cream in here now. I brought it to a boil, and what we're going to do is thicken it with our roux. Anytime you use roux, you always want to have the liquid you're trying to thicken at a boil or just a little under a boil. So, we're at a boil, slowly adding the roux. You don't want to dump it all in at once because when you're thickening things, it's much better to go slowly because you can always add more to it if you want it a little thicker. I don't know if you can tell that that's starting to thicken up already. Okay, what I'm going to do is lower the flame so it's just at a bubbling simmer now. And take the American cheese and we're going to incorporate this into the soup. I like to use sliced American. You can see it melts faster. There's not a good as chance that it's going to stick to the bottom of your pan when you put it in slices. So we're going to stir this. This melts pretty fast. Now is put the bacon of crisp back into the soup. Once you put the roux in, you might want to let it simmer a little while. It takes a couple minutes for the flour to add the starch in the flour to activate in the liquid. And I have some salt and pepper here. Add a little salt and pepper. Tastes right on. You can adjust the seasoning to your own personal preference, but that seems pretty good to me. Okay, here we have the finished product. I've put some in a cup. I just happen to have some chives here. It's a nice touch. If you have them, great. If not, don't worry about it. And that's our recipe for the month. I hope you enjoy it, and as always, eat well. And go Steelers. Next time I see you, hopefully we're Super Bowl champions.